Welcome into TDN Against the Spread. There is nothing more enjoyable to start this show than seeing all three of our faces on a dollar bill, guys. I think we've achieved a status or an ego play that I didn't know was possible for the show. So shout out to Robert Juden and Henry, who work at the Draft Network, who created a really, really well done intro. So that was new for everybody on Against the Spread this week. Jake, Jamie, how you guys doing today? I'll go to Jake first.
Better now. I was in the middle of that dollar bill. That's pretty dope.
I had a feeling you were going to be all about it. Might need to get some of those printed and have them in the background of the show now as we move forward. Jamie, how you sitting in Chicago over there, man?
Feeling good, feeling crisp, like $1 million, let's say. Let's get the puns rolling with our faces on all the bills. Yeah, you knew what to expect. You knew better.
Yeah.
You were not going to throw to me after that and not get a pun.
Yeah, the dad jokes, the pun jokes, everything that exists for Jamie, I knew was headed that way, which is why I'll transition right into talking about Thursday Night Football, because otherwise this will get out of control with the puns. So we've got Atlanta and Carolina facing off on Thursday Night Football, a NFC South showdown. So, we might pay a little extra attention to this game tonight because we might have a vested interest in one team in the NFC South doing well. The Carolina Panthers are a 1.5 point favorite in this one on betonline.ag right now. Jake, what are your thoughts on Thursday Night Football? Before we get into the player props, what do you anticipate happening tonight between a, kind of a hungry Atlanta team that's got a lot to prove with Julio Jones, guys, as the all-time leading receiver on Thursday Night Football? A little nugget for you as we head into Thursday night.
That is a good nugget. I expect that to continue. I expect a really good game. Teddy Bridgewater's played extremely well. The Atlanta pass defense is the worst in the league. I think all three guys on that offense get going. I think Mike Davis gets back in the running game pretty well as well. He struggled the last couple of weeks, but you don't really run the Saints that well. You damn sure don't run the Bears that well. I think he runs it tonight. I think that offense plays really well. I'm going to ride with the Panthers 27-24. They get this one done. I think it's a really close game. The Falcons have played better, but I don't think they get it done. They're finding ways to lose. I think Matt Ryan throws for a ton of yards. Julio Ridley's healthy. Hayden Hurst's been good the last couple of weeks. But I don't think they have enough to get it done. They're finding ways to lose, and that defense is all-time bad.
Yes, that defense is all-time bad. That is for certain. Jamie, you like yourself a player prop in this game. So let's talk player props, and I know Jake actually has a few that he might want to discuss as well. So let's talk Curtis Samuel. You have at BetOnline 38 receiving yards. I'm guessing, are liking this one that you're going to take. He's going to hit the over here, Jamie.
Yeah, this is one where you can get a little bit of extra value on a player because he's not a premier option. He's not DJ Moore. He's not Robbie Anderson. He's not Julio Jones or Calvin Ridley. So you get a much more favorable number here for him. He's averaging almost 5 targets a game this year, 8 yards per target, which would be enough to get you to that number anyway. Falcons are allowing almost 11 yards per target to wide receivers this year. I mean, that defense is all sorts of bad. I think there's going to be plenty to go around for Anderson and Moore and Samuel and Davis, and there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game. I even have it a little bit higher than Jake. I think this is a 30-24 game that Carolina is able to win. I just don't trust this Atlanta defense at all.
Yeah, Carolina's going to get to showcase themselves to the national audience. They've only been on those regional games thus far, so this is kind of one of those opportunities that you get to see Carolina, a team that maybe the rest of the NFL isn't paying so much attention to. I actually want to go in this direction with you guys before we head into all of our player props and underdogs and everything else. There's a lot of discussion about Matt Ryan, right? And whether or not he could be the guy moving forward in Atlanta, whether or not this Falcons team is going to look to try and move on from him. They draft a quarterback. This is the last time he's in a primetime game, guys. Do you think this is potentially the last time we see Matt Ryan playing in an Atlanta Falcons jersey on primetime? Because that would be the last time the national audience really got a taste of it. I'll let you go first, Jake.
No chance. Absolutely no chance. They have salary cap hell coming up, and if they get rid of Matt Ryan, it's that much worse. They've got him for at least 2 more years. There's absolutely nothing they can do about it. If they trade him, Arthur Blank's writing like $25 million checks for guys that aren't playing on his team. I don't see that happening. I also know how big of a piece of that city, that culture, that franchise he is, and he's not the issue. You have plenty of issues. He's not the problem. So I absolutely don't think this is the last time we're going to see Matt Ryan in prime time for the Falcons.
I had a feeling that's the way you would lean, especially because of the fixture that Matt Ryan is. And that's why I asked you guys, because I saw this topic on Good Morning Football. I've seen it on social media quite a bit. And it's one of the things we tend to do on the show is kind of we take narratives that are running and and I hate to say we're the bad guys, but we come in and we squash them, right? Because we hit you with a reality check of, hey, that doesn't really make a lot of sense financially or for what the team is trying to do. Jamie, I'm envisioning you're in agreement here that Matt Ryan is probably going to be playing in Atlanta for the foreseeable future.
I am. His contract kind of dictates that even via trade, there's a lot of issues that go into it. I think if we're talking about Atlanta drafting a quarterback, they're probably going to be in a spot where we're talking about a Trey Lance, maybe, or they're trading back and maybe they're interested in a Zach Wilson or somebody else, Kyle Trask. They're not getting somebody that's going to start in year one or maybe even year two. They're not getting a Justin Fields. They're not getting a Trevor Lawrence. So even if they decide to go the route of taking a first round quarterback, Matt Ryan is still going to be there and be the starter for at least 1 or 2 more years. I know things are bad right now, but there are financial decisions, both actual dollars and salary cap, that go into making these decisions. And I know we've got a lot of attention about the Eagles' cap situation going forward, but the Atlanta's is terrible too. So there are just certain things they are not going to be able to do. Even if they want to do a complete rebuild, there are rules and parameters and financial structures in place that say you can't just pick up and do this. It's not Madden. You can't just decide to cut players and trade players whenever you feel like it, and it doesn't matter. There are other things that go into this.
It's not Madden, Jamie. You're ruining the league for me. I thought that the salary cap was fake and that this didn't exist. And these are things we can do whatever we want.
To Jake's point, real owners are paying real millions of dollars, not the fake ones with our faces on it, but actual
real
dollar
owners.
bills to these players on these deals. They don't want to pay 10, 20, 30 million dollars for a guy not to play for them. And that's the scenario you're looking at. So even if it makes sense from we need to move on scenario, which it does not right now, financially it makes no sense. Cap wise, it makes no sense. So unless they're picking number 1 overall, and then at that point you'll figure something out, this isn't happening.
They won't be. There's too many other teams that are going to put themselves. Yeah, the Jets exist. That's exactly right. But I think Arthur Blank, listen, if you want to pay Jake, Jamie, and I $25 million to not play for you this next year, we're available. So feel free to pay us, because I think any of us would take. Yes, the real ones, not the dollars that have our faces on them. So Arthur, hit us up if you want us to participate in that process, because I'm really interested in not being the quarterback for $25 million. It sounds like a really good deal. All right, guys, let's move on. Let's talk underdogs. The first one I love this one from Jake, because I looked at it and I went, that's interesting. That is the Pittsburgh Steelers as an underdog, okay? They're playing the Baltimore Ravens, a phenomenal, evenly matched rivalry. I looked at a stat the other day that said they're like 23-23 2 over the last however many years. It is a true rivalry, not one that is completely one-sided. So, Jake, the Pittsburgh Steelers are a 3.5-point underdog here. Tell us why you like it.
So the kicker's that half point. I mean, you just hit the nail on the head. This series is tied. It's the best rivalry in sports over the last 15 years. I love what Ben Roethlisberger said. You want your bye week next week after you play this game. It's not dirty. It's just physical. It's freaking football. He had his nose splattered on Monday Night Football one year. They put it back in place, and he goes back and brings the Steelers back in Baltimore. To me, that's when it really became Ben's team and took away from the defense. But that half a point is the kicker. This is always a 3-point game. The last time I checked, the Steelers are the only undefeated team left in the NFL. I think their defense is better than Baltimore's. I think their offense is just as good. Ben has been in a lot more of these games than Lamar has, and you're getting that half a point. So if the Ravens do win by 3, I'm still taking the dog in the Steelers here. I'm going to keep riding the Steelers train. They've been damn good to me the last couple weeks. Been damn good to me this year. I'm going to keep riding until they bite me.
I think we have a lot to learn from this Baltimore team in this matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's a lot of question marks around this team, its identity, what they look like. They've won football games, but they have never looked like what they looked like at any point last year, where they were just absolutely railroading teams week in and week out. And maybe that's a strategy. Maybe Harbaugh's kind of taking it easy until and trying to ride a little lower than they were last year, where they were high flying and went into the postseason and just got smashed by the Tennessee Titans. So really, really excited for that football game. I'm also excited for Jamie's matchup, because Jamie's matchup is a matchup that another rivalry that over the last since Jim Harbaugh was there coaching against Pete Carroll has been excellent between the Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers. That division came down to this much room, right? Last year it was less than a half of a yard that division came down to in the number one seed. The Seattle Seahawks are coming off a loss, Jamie, and San Francisco's getting the traditional 3 points. What are your thoughts on this one? Because you're taking the Niners and the points.
My thoughts are, if I have to rely on one team to get me a stop to win the football game, it is San Francisco, and it's not even close. I love Russell Wilson. I love what he's doing. But right now, the top two running backs in Seattle banged up. Chris Carson might not play. Yeah, Russell Wilson's going to get his, but he showed some warts last week with his 3-interception game. I love what the Niners are doing on defense right now. 5th in yards allowed, 3rd in pass yards allowed, 9th in rush. I mean, they're top 10 in everything across the board, despite all the injuries that they've dealt with this year. They're going to be up for this game. And on offense, look, I know they're without Mostert. I know they're without Deebo Samuel, but against that Seahawks secondary, does it matter? Ayuk could put up a huge game. Kendrick Bourne have a huge game. George Kittle, whether it's a combination of JaMychal Hasty and Jerick McKinnon. I think San Francisco can put up enough points against what, if not is the worst, is bottom 2 worst teams in football in terms of defense. And I think right now that San Francisco can get enough stops. And I trust San Francisco's defense a little bit more in crunch time right now than Seattle's offense. It's a little bit banged up at running back. That's the difference in this game for me. Plus, you get the extra field goal hook.
I love both these games, guys. I'm excited to see both of those matchups, 2 rivalries in the division that traditionally get really, really fun to watch. So excited for both of those games. These next two games we're going to talk about, guys, they're stay away. Jake and Jamie are going, we don't want any part of this game. We're staying away, right? So Jake's pick is the Raiders playing the Cleveland Browns, right? So, Jake, why are you looking at this one and going, I don't want to take part in this. I'm not betting on it. No, thank you.
For a couple reasons. This Raiders offense is really good. I really liked what I saw last week. I've watched them 3 or 4 times. Now, at linebacker, and they're pretty good stopping the run on the defense. Their secondary's banged up. They're young. You can throw it on them. One guy I love that they have that doesn't get talked about because he was hurt earlier, Corey Littleton, covering Kareem Hunt out of the backfield, I think is going to be a big thing here. I like this game to be really close. I'm taking the Browns 30-27, but I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole talking about this line. The Browns are 2.5. The Browns are 2.5-point favorites. You're relying on Baker Mayfield throwing it against this Raiders defense to win, and now you took away his best weapon. Regardless of who's talking about what, and he throws better when OBJ is not out there. OBJ is their best player. It's going to be harder to run. The statistics are really interesting when OBJ is not out there and how their running game is. They're going to rely on that running game, but it's not as good when OBJ is not on the field. A lot of things that I can go back and forth. I think either team could win this game. I think it's really close. To me, it's a stay away.
Yeah, I understand the hesitation when you're looking at that one. The next one that Jamie has, I am so shocked. I'm not shocked by this line, but it's more so I get how bad the Jets are, but the line is like, man, it's like you're playing a college football team. It's 19.5. I get how bad the Jets are, but man, that is some disrespectful line when you look at it. It's like you're borderline not an NFL team, which, to be fair, could be true about the New York Jets. But this offense hasn't exactly been high flying yet, with the exception of that Baltimore and Chiefs game. So, Jamie, why are you staying away from this one? Is it just the points you're looking at it? You're going 19.5. No, thank you.
It's because it's twofold here. One is because I can't think of a good reason why the Chiefs can't win this game by 3 touchdowns. But the other side is that teams that have opened up as 20-point favorites or greater since 93 are 2-7 against the spread. I mean, we do not see these massive spreads that come across do not cover more often than not. So that's what scares me. So I'm going to take a kill cliff. I'm going to enjoy this game. I'm going to see if we get to see that Kansas City offense really open things up. Do they take an opportunity to really do what they haven't really done aside from that Baltimore game, or do they get up a couple scores and kind of coast to the finish line? That would be my concern as well. This team misses Sammy Watkins desperately. I want to see how much they get Le'Veon Bell involved here in the quote-unquote revenge game. But I think there's a good chance that the Chiefs are up 24 points at halftime, and then they are just kind of coasting and maybe not resting guys, but not exactly putting their foot on the throats of the Jets, and the Jets can get something on the back door here. So this is just too high for me. I'm just going to sit back and enjoy this game, this very easy Chiefs victory, and not have to try to sweat out a 3 touchdown point spread. Yeah,
that's as I said, I am quite sure that I will not be surprised at all if the Chiefs put up 50 points and they cover this by a mile. But it's just such a big point spread. It's just one of those ones you just go, just don't bet on it. Just enjoy Patrick Mahomes. Just stay away from that one. You don't need to get involved in that one. It's going to make you sweat it out. So better that you guys stay away from this one. A little insight on the next part, right? So you guys don't know this behind the scenes, but I'm about to unveil this to the audience. The guys don't tell each other what they're picking, right? So they send all the picks to me. I put everything together and I send it to Courtney behind the scenes, who's producing our show, right? So the two of them never know what the other one is picking. They both picked this game, right? So they're both on this game together. They're riding with the over in the Chargers Broncos game. So boys, take it away.
Wrong.
Yeah.
The line is wrong. The Chargers are averaging 32.3 points the last 3 weeks. The Broncos gave up 28 to Tampa Bay. They gave up 43 to Kansas City. Like I don't get this. By the way, I checked the weather. That's how you know I'm on the over in this game. It's like mid 50s and sunny and at mile high. It's not the snow game we just saw played there. What is the issue here? Like Herbert's throwing 4 touchdowns. Like what's the problem here?
Yeah. I'm all in on Herbie throwing at least 4 touchdowns. Jake, the line is wrong. That's what we heard. That's what Jamie just said. He goes, the line is wrong. Like, it's just wrong.
I mean, look, he just said they're going to put up 30, 32. Herbert's been phenomenal. They have the number 4 offense in the league right now. And Denver's going to put up their 4 field goals. So you cover this extremely easily. I saw 44.5 and went, wow.
Yeah, check.
What I wrote down 30 to 23 as my score and then saw 44.5 and went, okay, if it's not 2 or 3 points, which I'm usually within, I'm taking that one big time. And then I was like, okay, I'm like, Jamie, do I look at the weather? Is it 18 and snowing like last week? Did 5 guys get hurt? Is the COVID thing popping up and killing another team? No. So I have no idea what anybody's watching for 44.5. I don't know where this line came from.
I love that Jamie said the line is just wrong. It's just wrong. And apparently you guys haven't been watching Justin Herbert.
This should be 48. Like, if my mind, when I was like looking through the lines, this should have opened at 48. And then at that point, it's at least a little bit of a discussion. It was at 44. Like, I have a ticket in at BetOnline at 44.
Let's go, Jamie. Lock and load.
I don't get it.
Lunch on Jamie. He's going to win some cash. Let's go. We love it. I love it. Keenan Allen is healthy. Justin Herbert's played everybody well. Like, he's throwing 3 touchdowns on, it doesn't matter. Any team, he's doing it to. He did to the Bucs defense. Like the Bucs defense looks like the best defense in the NFL, and he put up points on that team. Like, come on, on the road. Oh, by the way.
The other thing too is like the Chargers defense hasn't quite played up to their talent level. They're letting that. No. Part of the reason why Justin Herbert finally got his first career win last week is because every time he would score, the defense would immediately allow somebody else to. Like Denver's not putting up a ton of points, but can Denver get to 17? I think they can.
Yeah. As Jake said, they're going to at least have
6 goals against the Patriots.
That's fine. I'll take it.
I was going to say you're at least going to get 4 field goals. Like you're at least getting 4.
You need 12 to 14 from Denver to hit this over.
Perfect.
Maybe.
Perfect.
If the Chargers don't do
Looks like I was going to say the Chargers might hit 40 points on you, and you're just going to go, okay, 2 field goals, Denver. Thank you very much. Like we're
apparently
ready.
We're all counting on Brandon McManus in fantasy this week, so it's going to kick 6 field goals, and that's the points for the Denver Broncos.
It's a good person to count on. Hasn't failed you yet. At least most of the time, especially with how the other kickers have gone. All right, guys. The best part.
Cut to this game being 6-3 with like 5 minutes to go
love
in the
it,
second quarter.
love it. If that happens, you bet your ass I'm going to come back next week with a montage to mock both of you. Like you better believe, like it's just going to be like you talking about it, then Jamie going, the line was wrong, and then the line flashes to like the game being 7-6, right? Like that's exactly what I need to happen. So Herbert and Courtney behind the scenes, we're going to work on that. Just in case it happens, like we're gonna work behind the scenes on a little troll.
Don't waste your time because like this is a new show, but we've been doing this for years now. for Jamie and I to pick our number one of the week being exactly the same and agreeing on it,
I
it's
know.
not happening very much. Don't waste your time
No.
getting this graphic together, people. This is in.
As much as it pains me to admit, the boys are really good and they've done an excellent job over the last 3 years as we've been doing this. So this probably will not happen, but there will be a troll job at some point that Courtney, Herbert, and I will work on. And I probably just won't tell any of you. So it'll be a total surprise, which will be way better as we move forward. Let's get to the end here, guys. The locks of the week, what you guys are looking at and what you're excited about. You both have you just talked about how this was your big thing on the last show, but on the last segment, but you didn't know that you both locked in one of the same games together. So Jake, I'll let you take it first because you've got 2 locks here, Rams -3.5 and Bills -3.5. Jamie also on the Rams -3.5. So I'll get him in on that before you switch to your Bills topic, but why are you taking the Rams, Jake?
This one's easy. I got one team that's 5-2, fighting their asses off for the division. I got another team that's 3-3 and punting the season.
Yep.
The entire reason you're 3-3, the entire reason you're relevant was Ryan Fitzmagic, and you're going to Tua against Aaron Donald, who has like 96% pressure rate on every snap that he plays. By the way, if you really break Tua down, and I think he'll be okay, but I don't think he's the answer because other rookies are playing so well. He's a small guy. There's only one small guy in the history of the NFL that has been great, that wasn't extremely mobile, and that's Drew Brees. So if you're telling me that's the comp, we got a long way to go, and you damn sure ain't going to see that in week 1. Dolphins defense has been okay. They're not holding this Rams team down. McVay is going to have them covered. If I'm the Rams, I'm putting Jalen Ramsey on Devontae Parker, and he is out of this game. And Tua has that weapon is completely gone. They don't run it very well anyway. A rookie against that defense is Sean McVay right now. And he had the bye week, whatever. I don't buy it at all. I saw this line and went, wow, where this guy? This should be like 8.
Yeah. Jamie, you're also on the Rams -3.5. What else do you have to add other than I love Jake just saying the Dolphins are punting on this season? Because I think there's a lot there, right? As we've talked about, like I think the big reason here is they saw the marketing opportunity and went, yeah, okay, we're going to get our guy in. The other part of this is the other rookies in the league are playing really well. And the guy that got drafted behind him is also playing really well. And I think that's putting a lot of pressure on them to showcase, like, we didn't F this draft pickup. We did this thing right. And that's a really stupid thing to do, but they're doing it anyways. So Jamie, go ahead. 3.5 for the Rams.
That's why I cannot be convinced this was done for football reasons. Nobody can convince me this was a football decision made in the best interest of the football team to win football games. This is a marketing decision. This is look, I understand Tua needed to play at some point this year. He needed to get some game reps in before becoming the starter in 2021. Totally understand that. He did not need them now. Teams won 2 in a row, 3 of the last 4. Fitzpatrick has been playing really well, and you bench him for popularity, for ratings, to sell jerseys before the holiday season. Like, it's ridiculous to me. The Rams allow the 4th fewest passing touchdowns in the league. They rank in the top half as a passing defense in yards, quarterback rating, all of that. Aaron Donald's going to get after him. These Miami receivers don't get separation. So I don't know where the easy throws are going to come for him. Like, it's going to be a lot of Myles Gaskin out of the backfield, but is that going to win them football games? I don't think so. The Rams offense has been good on the road this year. They have shown up away from home. And they're putting up 30 points more often than not when they're playing on the road. This is what Jake and I were talking about this in the Zoom chat while you were hosting on Monday night's podcast of this line. Like, I put this bet in on Monday, like that right after the Rams won Monday night is when I put this bet in. Like, I mean, this is just like, I don't get this line at all. And the fact that it hasn't moved all week. I mean, I've seen it go at different places, 3.5 to 4, but like, there's been no significant movement. It's still 3.5 at BetOnline. I don't get it. Like, I'd be okay with that if Fitzpatrick was starting. I think that's a perfectly okay line.
100%.
I don't think it's been adjusted for a rookie quarterback making his first start for really no good reason.
By the way, one other thing of note here, there's 2 rookies on this offensive line in front of Tua.
Also that. I'm glad you brought that up.
One entire side of their offensive line are rookies, and it's the wrong side now. It's his blind side because he's left-handed. Yep. And it's not just Aaron Donald, guys. Like,
no, it's that whole team.
Getting after the quarterback. I just look. he's a small guy, but he's not Kyler Murray, who runs around. I heard him described as a marble on a marble floor. Like, that's the perfect thing to describe Kyler Murray. That is not Tua. He got caught in the SEC and got hurt trying to extend plays, trying to hold on to the ball too long. If he tries that this weekend, he doesn't finish this game. I'm worried about that. I don't know that he finishes this game. It's a terrible line. I still hate this decision by the Dolphins. And you're going to get what's coming to you because you're not going to be relevant. Nobody's going to buy jerseys or watching you in 3 games when you lose the next 3.
No, I'm really glad you guys were both as strong on this as you were, because I truly believe that we are correct in our outlook on why this decision was made, because the other doesn't make sense. You can't logically explain what you did, especially when you're, oh, by the way, in the hunt for the division, right? Like, that's the kicker of the whole situation is you're in the hunt for the division. You played the team that is at the top of this division in the Buffalo Bills, and you should have beat them. It was a really, really close game. I mean, that's where you're going. This logically does not make sense. And I have a lot of faith in who Brian Flores is as a competitor. And I saw a lot from him last year that this smells that this was not from him and the football team. Like, this smells that this was not a football personnel decision. This came from above, especially because the team found out, right, before he was allowed to talk to the locker room. This was released in the worst way possible. Flores wasn't allowed to talk to the locker room. And guess what? The locker room is a Fitz locker room. Oh, by the way, just so we're clear, like, the locker room's with Fitz because they're winning football games. It doesn't mean Tua can't be the guy. It just means that this is going to get interesting here, guys. So I love that you guys are both on this game and excited about this matchup. The next one here is a little disrespectful to the Buffalo Bills, I believe. And I'm interested to hear Jake's take on this, because he's taking the Bills minus 3.5. They're playing the Patriots. The Patriots are a bad football team. Okay? They're just not a good football team. And I think that we've gotten to this point where we called him Cam the Scam Newton on the podcast, but that's where we are, right? Like, this is not a good football team. He's not playing like a good quarterback. So, Jake, I envision that is largely the reason why you are taking the Bills to lock it in at 3.5.
Look, I put the Bills Mafia on notice earlier in the week. If not now, when? The division is in your hands. You already beat the Dolphins. You're better. You started off on fire. We all talked about this Josh Allen MVP thing, and then you lost 2 in a row. And then you had a get-right game against the Jets where you look like crap again. If not now, when? The New England Patriots are now without Julian Edelman, who had surgery, I guess, today or yesterday and is out for the week. They have 4 receivers on their roster that are healthy, 2 of which you've ever heard of. They're already dead last in the NFL in every passing statistic category in the month of October, including interceptions, where I think they're at 9 in the month of October. Cam Newton is playing god-awful. The Bills' problem is they don't run it very well, and they haven't stopped the run very well. Well, this week you can pretty much contribute 2 more guys to the box to stop the run, because Cam can't beat you throwing the ball at all. Bills Mafia, if not now, when? You have the ability to not only beat the Patriots, you have the ability to beat the Patriots up and embarrass them. When the hell is the last time you could say that? If not now, when?
I love the challenge, Jake. If not now, when, Bills? This is your time, man. You started off hot. You've cooled off since. This is an opportunity to go prove to everybody, this is your division. This is your time. This is not a good football team, and you should beat this football team handedly. I'm in agreement, Jake, but we got to see it. We got to see it. Jamie, you're locking in what we talked about in the over/under, right? You're going all in. You're doubling down. You already put the ticket in. So, anything else to add on why you feel as confident as you do to lock this one in?
It's just Justin Herbert. Like, his play has been sensational. It seems like he's getting better every single week. And like I said, the other element, that little here you go at the end of our last total conversation, was that the Chargers defense, it hasn't been phenomenal. They haven't been just the shutdown defense that's allowing, 13, 14, 15 points a game or something crazy that you see early in the season sometimes. This is a defense that can allow us some points. Maybe as Noah Fant gets a little bit healthier, as Drew Lock gets a little bit healthier, they can at least get a touchdown in this game, maybe even 2. Let's get wild here for Denver and get 2 offensive touchdowns. And this game's going to fly over. So I don't understand this one. We're seeing weekly totals in the 50s for everybody right now. Like seeing something under like 47.5 now feels like a rarity this year. And for this line to be all the way down at 44 to open and 44.5 right now, I just don't get it. Like all you need is one really trustworthy offense to really put up points in a matchup, and you're going to be good to go.
Yeah, I think we've sufficiently decided that if you haven't taken the over, then you're not a friend of TDN against the spread, because I think everybody here is sufficiently talked themselves into the over, and it doesn't really take a whole lot if you've been watching Justin Herbert and you've been seeing what he's been able to do. Guys, we've reached the end of the show, the 2-minute warning. You guys know the drill. Each of you gets a minute. Jake, you're up first. Go ahead.
So I'm going to talk about tonight's game. We have two franchises heading in polar opposite directions. The Atlanta Falcons can't figure out a way to win a game. In fact, they're figuring out ways to lose games. I love what Matt Rule has done so far in Carolina. I love what Teddy Bridgewater has done in Carolina. As Paige mentioned earlier in the show, you haven't seen it because they haven't been on national TV yet. But Teddy Bridgewater is playing great. Mike Davis has been spectacular in his role coming in for Christian McCaffrey, who's been out. There's a guy I like a lot. Robbie Anderson's had a resurgence in his career so far in Carolina. There's another prop bet to look at tonight. 75.5 total yards for Robbie Anderson. I love the over. He is 7-0 in his props so far this year, winning all 7 of them. This is going to be a fun game to watch. I think the Falcons look good, but they're figuring out ways to lose games. And I think a lot of people are going to be impressed with the direction of this Carolina Panthers team. In a few years, watch out. They're going to be pretty good.
Well done, Jake. All right, Jamie, you got a minute. Go ahead.
I think my thing is I want to touch on Jake's lock for a second and talk about how the market still hasn't properly adjusted to the New England Patriots right now. We're still seeing way too often them getting lines that are just flat out wrong. They had a wrong line against San Francisco last week that we all picked against. That's why San Francisco was my underdog of the week in this very spot last week. They should not be only 3.5 point underdogs against Buffalo right now, considering they have no offensive weapons. They are extremely just putrid on offense right now, and their defense isn't any good. So this is where you can kind of take advantage, at least for a couple more weeks. We'll see when the market adjusts on this market efficiency, because the Patriots have been a heavy public bet team every year, and their lines were always over exaggerated. They were always 14-point favorites that actually opened up as 16-point favorites. And we have kind of seen that carry over this year, except they're just not very good. And if they're going to keep giving you these lines that are worthwhile, keep taking them.
All right, guys. Excited for Thursday Night Football. I'm actually really looking forward to Carolina and Atlanta facing off against each other, and everybody getting to see Teddy Bridgewater. Because the Panthers played the Bears already. I watched them pretty close. There's a lot to like about what Matt Rule and that defense that he's put together with a lot of brand new young pieces without Christian McCaffrey. Right? I think this is the kind of the big deal here is that this team didn't have its big identity piece and has been able to weather the storm and actually played pretty well without him. So big Mike Davis night. Give me a big Mike Davis night tonight for fantasy on Thursday Night Football. Really looking forward to this one. Jake and Jamie, tell everybody how they can follow you guys and see everything that you're doing. I'll let you go first, Jake.
At Arians NFL on Instagram and at Jake B. Arians on Twitter.
Jamie?
Follow me at Jamie Eisner on Twitter.
You guys can follow me at _sports page with an I on both Twitter and Instagram. Be sure to check out our podcast. Wherever you listen to podcasts, if you search TDN Fantasy, you will find it. And as I always say, if you can't find it, be sure to tweet at me because I'll make sure that it gets on that podcast network. But I have yet to get a tweet. So I think they're everywhere that they need to be. So check out the TDN Fantasy show and we will be back next week.